Hey guys, it's Dave again. Welcome back again. Welcome back to Dave's Dimension. Welcome back to the channel where chaos and insanity reign supreme. Welcome back to our channel again. So today we have a bit of an unboxing today. Last weekend, the wife and I were doing some shopping and we came across a bit of a holy grail, so to speak, when it comes to collecting, or at least when it comes to collecting NECA and ECA action figures. A couple years ago, they started coming out with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles line, which is based off the 1990 hit movie Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It was a more of a grittier, darker, but still comical take on the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Now, they started with the original characters, and of course, then they went on to Splinter, Shredder, Foot Soldiers, everyone who was featured in at least the first movie. Now, this past year, they released some more figures, Super Shredder, which I've done a review of, an unboxing, and also Toka and Razor, which I'm hoping to get sometime soon. Well, what happened was I missed out on the Splinter and Shredder when they were released. In fact, they were released maybe about a year and a half ago, almost 2 years. But you can't find them anywhere. The only places you were really finding them, if you were lucky enough, would be GameStops. But I haven't seen any there, and they've been sold out for so long. Well, I was at a Walmart. Okay, I was at a Walmart, and guess what I happened across? That's right, guys. Because I go into Walmart, I go into the electronics section. That's where they usually have some of the collectibles, like the Back to the Future NECA figures and other ones. And it just so happens, I was like, you know what? What the hell? I'm gonna take a look, see if they have maybe a fun Funko Pop, right? They had this 2 pack and only one of them there. This is so shocking that I mean, I grabbed it, I saw it, I'm like, I gotta get this, guys. I literally have to run and get this. So as I'm cashing out, even one of the employees saw it and like, where'd you find that? I was like, it was in the electronics section, guy. He's like, how many were left? I'm like, this one, this one. That's it. That's all I saw, buddy. I grabbed it. For a second, I thought he was gonna ask me how much did I want for it. Yeah, that's not happening. So I got my hands on Splinter and Shredder from the first film. So now I have Shredder from part 2 and I have Shredder from part 1, which makes it even better. So we're going to go ahead and do a quick unbox of this. I'm going to give you my first impressions of these figures and then we're going to set them up. So, what do you guys think? Pretty good? You know, this 2 pack for $49.99 and I got it, like I said, it was in the wild. The box is in perfect condition. Still has the factory seal right on there, guys. And I mean, as far as I can tell, these look in pretty good shape here. So we're going to open this up and we're going to have a closer look, guys. Okay, so here we are. We're getting ready to do the unbox, okay? Um, if you've been watching the channel, you know I've been making some upgrades to the desk setup. I have bigger monitors, which actually frees up a lot of space here on the desk. So now I can push my keyboard back. And now I have a nice flat surface for us to use our new camera, the C922, so you guys can get a better look at this. So let's start and open this up. Now, before we do that, of course, we get our basic branding here. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Splinter and Shredder. You got the 4 brothers at the bottom right there, Nickelodeon branding, the NECA branding right there. And of course you get your basic instructions, or should I say warnings. Warning, choking hazard. This is not a kid's toy. This is definitely for adults, collectors, those who are nostalgic about it. I mean, yes, you can play around with it, but let's be honest. So on one side we have Shredder, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. We see some action poses. Him holding his weapon, him with his scary little cape. And on the other side we of course have Splinter with his cane. And on the back here, guys, we get both. We get some pictures of how you can pose him, display him. You know, he's got a slice of pizza. He's walking and he's got the canister. Okay. Of course, we got Shredder at the bottom. Apparently, Shredder's mask does come off if you want to do that. I mean, he looks better with the mask on if you ask me. And of course, we got a nice little excerpt on back here, which I will read. Now you can catch America's favorite green teens in their first live-action blockbuster film after wading in a pool of radioactive waste. These radical reptiles are transformed into New York City's greatest crime-fighting quartet. I can't talk straight today, guys. In part thanks to the training of their skilled sensei, the similarly transformed rat Splinter. Their biggest enemy? The Shredder, ruthless leader of the Foot Clan, a criminal organization that's terrorizing the city. These highly detailed action figures stand 6.5 to 7 inches tall and feature 30 points of articulation, movie-accurate accessories, interchangeable hands, and an intricately tailored tattered robe and cape, referring to Splinter's garments and Shredder's robe that he gets to wear. So there we go. We are going to jump right on into this. Now, the only figures from this collection I actually have are Super Shredder from Part 2. I have Raphael, and Leonardo. And I also have the Raphael in disguise along with Casey Jones. Those are the only ones I have, at least until I get my Tokar and Razor in, which I'll be happy to get once they do come in. So there we are. Nice little cardboard cover here. You slide this right on out. Now if you want to, you can actually remove this insert. It's got a nice little background of a sewer. So if you want to display this on your shelf to give a little backdrop to the characters, that's definitely a thing you guys can do. So let's start off. You always get these little crystals to keep some kind of, to hold them in, to preserve them in some weird shape or form. Like, what do you need to preserve? I don't know. So let's take a look at some of the accessories. Let's start with the Shred Dude. He has several, he has 4 hands, 2 for the left and 2 for the right. Alternate hands, that is. He has his little spear. There is a slice of pizza here, which obviously is Splinter's. And there is a dagger with its sheath, such as when he is grabbing for Splinter, when he's attacking Splinter towards the end of the movie. Now, as far as Splinter, of course, he's got his slice of pepperoni and cheese. We have Mikey's nunchuck. We have the TGRI canister, the Hell to Use. Splinter's got some sandals, some slippers here. And then he's got 6 alternate hands, which is basically 3 sets of alternate hands. So these come fully loaded, guys. Now, I'm going to see if I can... Now, what's great is they give you a little cover here. And then you can just pull these pieces right on out. So that's good. Now, as far as... We're going to get the accessories out, because then I'm going to have to flip this over and get rid of those weird plastic ties that they'll love to throw in here. Now, if you're opening one of these up, I do recommend some tweezers. In this case, I'm just going to use my Swiss Army knife, because some of these figures, their weapons can be a bit fragile. I had an accident where Leonardo's katanas were destroyed. They were just very flimsy. They were not very durable. Obviously, Neca has learned from their mistakes. The quality on, I mean, this doesn't look like some little piece of plastic here. Don't know if you guys can. Trying to get the camera to focus there. It's probably not going to focus too well on it, but you can see the sides of the blades. There's real definition to this. So I'll set that down. The alternate hands. Yes, the Shredder only has the claws on his left hand. Here's another alternate hand, like he's reaching out for someone. You know, if you, I don't know, if someone could get their hands on a garbage truck, you can kind of have it like he's reaching out. You know. Super Shred has the same kind of a thing. Now, okay, here we got the nice big, okay, this is to recreate the scene where, this pizza, reason why it's kind of like oozed up, this is to recreate the scene when the slice of pizza is on Splinter's head. When they do Ginsu 2000, and the pizza falls right on top of Splinter's head. And he says, "Kids." Okay, so let's go ahead and get the other accessories out. Some nice little house slippers, if you will. Got some good texture here. I mean, these are some pretty good detailed. Not that I recall him wearing slippers, but, you know, it was probably a thing in the movie I just never paid attention to. Gives me a good reason to go ahead and rewatch 1. But if I rewatch 1, I'm going to be rewatching 2 and 3. Now, of course, there's a lot of rumors that the next Turtle movie could be revisiting TCRI. Here we are. Could be revisiting everything. So here we are with the canister. There's a lot of good detail on here. Now this... Oh, the cap does come off. Nothing else comes apart. You do have a little bit of a... Let me rotate that. Let me see. Can you guys see that? A little... There's a hairline crack, which is supposed to reveal that that's probably where the ooze came from. But you can open this up. So that's a nice little fun thing. Now, they did not include any additional accessories or weapons here. Okay, now... Okay, looks like a big difference between Splinter's Hands and Shredder's. Shredder's, they have this little peg so you can actually do movements like a wrist down, wrist up kind of feature. You don't have that with Splinter. His hands apparently just have the peg to fit in. So there's not as much articulation as you would think, but that's okay. I mean, throughout the first movie, Splinter makes a few appearances, and of course he's chained up for the rest of the film. At least right before he's rescued by Casey and Danny. So let's turn them over so I can get this. They always have these plastic ties in here. They don't even do like some I've seen them do just the I'll be right back, guys. Okay, so we got Shredder out and Splinter. Now, when you first get Shredhead's face, the mask looks like it is a little crooked. You can probably reposition it because the mask does come off. Just taking a nice look as to how, but I'm going to keep his mask on for right now. They definitely have his mask on a little crooked. I think it's like that in the movie too. I'm just trying to re-straighten it. And, I mean, if you really look at his face here, the whole thing looks a little, I mean, his helmet looks a little crooked, a little off. Of course, you got him with his little bedazzle, his little sparky sparkle. Now, we're going to do a test here to see how well does he stand on his own. The turtles stand well on their own without any proper stands, so does he. And I do have these Neca stands that I use for a lot of figures, and you see right there he started to doze off a little bit. Now, the head has some movement here. Arms have articulation if you've ever dealt with NECA. Sometimes you gotta be careful with some of the joints. I have one friend who recommended heating up the joints. Like, not oven heating or microwave. You definitely don't want to do that, guys. No, never. Okay. Um, I had asked, well, what do you mean by heat? Do you mean like a hair dryer on low? And he said, yes, that's perfect. So I may do that with these once I have them posed. Now, of course, you got the dagger. You have the spear that he uses once he's fighting the turtles. Of course, I'll have to switch his hand out so he can hold this, because right now he just has his closed fists, as you guys can see right there. Now, doesn't appear to be anything on here for us to stow his weapons inside. Now, here's his cape. His cape it feels like there's a wire on the inside, so I guess you can do some posing with that. It's bendable wire. So I guess also if you needed to ever replace that, you can just slide that inside. Okay. Bending the wire is allowing us to kind of pose the cape. So you can just kind of drape it over his shoulder like that. You know, like the first scene when we first see Shredder, we see Tatsu kind of rig up the cape so that it shows the shoulder blades. So I guess you can also kind of do that, utilizing the wire to kind of drape around. You can kind of do that. I mean, it's not like he's going to be dancing around, but this is an accessory. It's very cool. It's a thing you could do. It is a thing you could do. Now there's his cape, just like it was in a movie. You got the shreds on there. Get it? Shredder. And the underside is just black, but it's transparent. I mean, you guys can kind of see right through that a little bit. So that is a thing. Now, some of the figures, you kind of have to play around with them to get a good pose, a good upright pose. So there we are with the Shredder. Now, from the first movie, he is spot on right here, guys. There's his legs, his shins, torso, and face. There we go. There's a nice little close-up of him. Now for Splinter. his tail, I'm not sure if you could bend this. Probably might have to heat this up. And he's got very little narrow legs here. But you can see the bandages wrapped around above his ankle and also on his feet here. Let's see how well these slippers fit on the master. They fit on. I'm not really crazy about them, but they do fit. Now, unfortunately, there are no peg holes on his feet nor on these sandals. So if you're posing him, you're gonna have to be a little careful. I'm gonna see if I can find something where I can easily pose him. I'm trying to see if there's any way we can put the tail so that it kind of balances things. I mean, he's gonna fall right there. I'm just gonna have to play around with maybe his legs, moving him more a little forward. Without shifting his balance. And like I said before, the scene where he's got the slice of pizza. Let me see if I can fit this on his head. There we go. Teenagers. So there we go. I mean, all in all, I mean, just the detail on here. Looks like there's some pegs here. Peg holes on the tail. And there is like scales on here. Ridges, like you might see on an actual rat's tail. Okay, so the tail does pull back a little bit more. There we go. That gives him a little bit more balance. I would just take caution. I would highly recommend caution on these because, like I said, at first, a lot of these arms and joints will be stiff at first. So you may want to, like I said, I was recommended using a air dryer, a hair dryer on low, just to soften up the mold so that these pieces will rotate freely. Now, I personally have not had any accidents in regards to that, but you never want to be too, you can't be too careful. I've heard of some of the NECA Back to the Future figures, some Martys that had their arms ripped off. So it all depends, guys. I mean, just going back to the figures themselves, I mean, the detail on here, the eyes, the hair, I mean, the paint textures, his little goatee right there. I mean, it's amazing. And the way that they did the rags of his robe, that everything's so worn out, you can see his elbow sticking out. Now, of course, I would have to switch to one of his other hands for holding the canister. Oh, and see the canister just fell down. I will pick that up in just a bit. But there we are. We have Shredder and Splinter. Now, I'm not too sure how I'm going to pose him. I don't have a diorama like some people that I know. So I'm going to do whatever I can. I'm going to try and figure out some kind of a pose. I wish they would have gave an option for Splinter from part 2, because that Splinter comes with a bow and arrow, so that would have been pretty cool to pose a Splinter with his bow. Who knows? Maybe I'll get some wire or some chains, some little fake toy chains to wrap around him, So we could have the pose where he's being held by the foot, and maybe get my hands on a few foot soldiers. Because if you notice, we can set him up as if he's hanging, so his feet will bend in that fashion. So that is the thing we could do here. If in case you're wondering, can this robe come off? I'm sure you can. There have been some aftermarkets, well, not official aftermarkets, but I've seen people come up with outfits for the turtles on eBay. I cannot condone nor steer you away from that. I mean, I can say that I wouldn't recommend that because obviously it's not official tissue. So we'll see what happens. I mean, I'm keeping them just as they are. So, guys, let me know what did you think of these NECA figures? I mean, I think I did pretty good for you know post holiday weekend at a Walmart getting these two. The Shredder's helmet is definitely top notch. Now, I actually prefer Shredder's helmet from part two before he's mutated, because after he falls into the garbage truck and gets crushed, his helmet's all deformed and decrepit, and he's scarred up like there's no tomorrow. Um, I would love to see that helmet with the that he actually adds the little ridges on here, like it's an actual buzz saw. I thought he even looked more badass in that form, but we'll see what happens. See, it's bugging me a little bit that the mask is a little off-centered, but I know it was that way in the movie too. Um, can you remove the helmet from him? I would say no. Because one, we never saw that in the movie. We never saw him without the helmet on. So obviously we wouldn't know exactly how is that supposed to look. Hand comes right off. See. Now, one thing I probably would recommend is if you have this figure, being careful with his gauntlets, his wrist guards right here, because I could easily see these bending and popping if you're applying pressure too hard. That I definitely would caution you guys. Now these Neca stands, I get these on Amazon. It's just a single peg stand right there. It's meant for, supposed to be universal for most NECA figures. I've used them on Power Rangers figures before. Some of them do not fit 100% flush. This one is, so that's good. Now we got the Shred Dude spear right here. Let me see if we can get him to thread it through his hand. Let's try and thread it through here first. Got a bit of a point on here too. So there we go. Got the Shredder holding his spear, ready to fight the turtles. Now let's work on Splinter. I love that they have this here. I mean, if you have this set up, you can do it so that like Splinter is holding on to the chucks. He's holding off to the side. I wouldn't put too much pressure on these though. I'm trying to get this to focus. You can see there's a lot of good detail here. So let's keep Shredder's hands to himself. Yes, I went there, I know. I'm terrible. Now with Splinter's hands, he's got pointing, which makes me want to say that those hands would be viable for the bow and arrow if they ever do that. I just really feel lousy that they don't have peg holes for his feet to use the traditional Neca stand on. Let's see if I can bend. Yeah, I'm just gonna have to have him standing like that. I was able to bend the tail a little bit, so that's what we'll have to do there. Nothing like looking embarrassing in front of your nemesis. Got a slice of pizza right on your head there. So I gotta say, given some of my experience with figures lately, the Hasbro Lightning Collection has really been letting me down as of late. Um, that I think I may be taking a break on. It's kind of a downer, but you know it is what it is. These figures, I mean, they're just amazing. I love how realistic they look, and I can't wait to figure out a setup for the other figures. So there we are, Shredder and Splinter from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Part 1. I mean, I haven't seen these in any stores, GameStop or anywhere else, and I can't believe I came across them on Saturday when I was at Walmart. It was unbelievable. Trust me, if they would have had another pack, I probably would have gotten a second pack because I have a few friends who are collectors and they're definitely needing this set. So if I could have got my hands on one, I would have bought a second one. But you know, sometimes it's not meant to happen. So on a scale of 1 to 10, I have to say these are definitely. I gotta say, if there would have been peg holes for Splinter's feet, I would have said 10. But these are probably about a 9 right now. And also the limitation with some of the accessories, I would say that. Um, that's just my opinion. As far as the canister, the canister itself looks good. However, and there is a however, the however in this matter is it looks good. I wish they would have had maybe a slightly larger crack detail on it to show more green, to show that there was ooze in there of some kind, but it's still amazing. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love it, and I'm happy that I finally got that set. I didn't think I would. But in the movie, you see TCRI, which really isn't. I mean, the radioactive text is really hard to make out. Not just blurry from the camera not reading it, but I'm trying to get the camera to read it. It's not doing it. But I mean, it's barely noticeable print. Of course, in the movies, it wound up that these were two separate pieces, or if you had some, um, if you wanted to recreate the scene, you probably could with some green hair gel in a nice little puddle and have that kind of sitting out from it. That would be a thing you could do. So there we are. There's the review of Shredder and Splinter. I love the detail on here. I just gotta play around with the cape to see how's the best look for him. Now, for comparison, I'm actually gonna grab Super Shredder. And I actually grabbed Raphael. Now, Super Shredder has a little bit of a balance issue. I'm still trying to work that out. He's a little top heavy. So here we are. We have the backside of the two Shredders. Super Shredder is way taller than he is. Let me move Splinter and Raph off to the side. So here's regular Shredder. And here's Super Shredder. I mean, he is just massive compared to the other Shredder. So that's a nice little comparison. Now, you notice I have the canister here, okay? Here's the difference between the canisters. Not very much. They look very close. Now there is a slight differential. One obviously says TGRI from part 2. And then the original one says TCRI, which is obviously that was the first movie is based on the cartoon and the comics, and then the cartoon, of course, and then TGRI here because it was Techno Global, I believe. And also on here, it was just plain aluminum or plain silver, whereas we had radioactive symbols on each side. This one looked more official tissue, if you ask me, with the hazard tape on here and everything. It looked more serious, more menacing. Okay, so here we are. We have this is Super Shredder, and his very menacing look. Of course, he has his own cape, right? So we have him, and then of course we have regular Shredder. It's almost like take your kid to work day. Am I wrong? I mean, come on. It looks like take your kid to work day. That's what it looks like. And obviously, big differences between the masks. Now, of course, the big goof about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 was when Shredder took his dose of mutagen, all his clothing and his armor mutated too. Yeah, I didn't get it either, but he has a nice badass staff right there too. And these big massive sandals, ninja sandals, and I don't know what the actual term is, guys. Don't beat me up over that. So let's just set him off to the side. Now we have Splinter with Raphael. So this is the dad taking his son to work day. As far as the sizing of these two, I mean, this is very comparable. I mean, it's very top notch. I mean, it's right up there. It's about the right size. But you see how the turtles can stand on their own. I mean, that's top notch right there, guys. Top marks all around. So we could have the nice soulful heart-to-heart between Splinter and Raphael. It's a thing you could do. It is a thing you can do. So, there we are. And there's the review. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This was a little bit impromptu. I wasn't necessarily planning it out. Of course, I never do. Because this is Dave's Dimension, where chaos and insanity reigns supreme. So, tell me, guys, what are your thoughts on these figures? Did you like it? Do you think NECA has some room for improvement? Do you think there's something they could have done better? Do you think that it's it's 10 out of 10? Do you think it's 5 out of 10? What are your thoughts? What are your opinions on this? What's your impressions? Please leave your comments in the comments section below, of course. And as always, if you have any questions, thoughts, concerns, some suggestions, some criticisms that you don't want to air in the comments section, that you maybe want to reach out to me directly, the email address is Dave's Dimension. That's all, Dave's Dimension, one word, 78 at gmail.com, and I'll have that in the description below as well. So if you like this video, give me a good thumbs up. If you didn't, give me a thumbs down, guys. It goes both ways. The doorway swings both ways. So, like I said, if you liked it, give me a thumbs up. If you didn't, thumbs down. As always, please subscribe to this channel. Help us grow. Help me make some better videos. If you have some suggestions on what's the next item I should unbox, I have a few things coming through the pipeline. I am really looking forward to it. We're a couple days away from New Year's, so I just want to wish everybody a very safe and happy New Year's. Be smart, be careful. You know, with every part of the country is still reeling with everything going on with 2020. Social distance the best way you guys can. There are ways around this. Don't worry. We are all going through the same thing. We will get through this. So I just want to wish everybody a happy and safe New Year's. And until next time, as always, keep on busting, and I will always catch you on the flip side.